creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Guys, we did it! Idris Elba not only saw the video, but like the absolute legend he is, he DM'd them, watched their entire movie, and then said he was so impressed by the work that they put in that he's gonna email them with an opportunity. Woo! These guys' lives are about to change forever, and it's all thanks to you guys getting him to notice. I mean, come on, is this not what it's all about? Thank you, I love you, and I'll keep you updated on what the hell happens next.
This is what I'm talking about. Social media for social good.
Europeans come to this continent, literally ethnically cleanse the indigenous population out of existence, kill them on a scale that has hardly been equaled by the millions, and refer to them as savages. That's an achievement. Who's the savage? If you go, the first time I encountered this was in a little town in Massachusetts called Deerfield, or Old Deerfield. It's a reconstruction of what that little town looked like in colonial America. And so the houses are redone to look like they did then. Very nice job. It's a tourist thing. You go there and you look at that. And in front of each house is a plaque that explains something about this house. It was inhabited by the Yipsy Doodle family or whatever it was. And then description. On the 18th of October of 1702, the savages attacked. I remember the first time I saw this, the savages. You come in here, destroy everything these people have, and they are the savages. That's an interesting move.
It is.
You know?
I hadn't thought of that before.
Think about it.
This man couldn't have said it better. I'm so sorry about what the indigenous people went through. What is going on? Love the woman with good character who immediately pushed the other woman back, saying, "No, that's a baby. Thank you for stepping up."
Is the only place in the world without time. Here, there is only one sunrise and one sunset in a year. Half of the year is day, and half is night. It is Sommerøy Island in northern Norway. Around 350 residents live on the island and make a living by operating the fishing industry and tourism. Due to its special geographical location, there is almost no night in summer. After May, when the sun rises here, a 69-day polar day begins. Locals play football at 2 a.m. and mow the lawn at 3 a.m. After November, the long polar night starts, and the island is plunged into long darkness. At this time, as soon as you go out, you can see the most magnificent northern lights in the world. Stores and schools here don't have fixed business hours. You can arrange your eating and resting times freely. In a sense, time completely loses its meaning here. Would you like to try this kind of time-unlimited life?
Absolutely. I would love to go visit this island.
Sometimes I'll be in the studio 3-4 days, don't come out. He comes in at 9 a.m. every day to the studio, takes his lunch break at 1, and is out of there about 5 p.m. First day I came around 6. I'm expecting, okay, we'll do an evening session. I get this studio, oh, M just left. I was like, yo, M, where you at? He said, I'm out of here. I said, well, I'm at the studio, I just got here. You coming back? He said, I'll be back there at 9 a.m. You joking, right? He said, no, I'm serious. I see you at 9. You gonna get up earlier? I said, yeah, I'll be there. So I get there at 9, and he shows up on time. Plays some beats, we rocking. So I'm in the middle of writing the record. He's like, yo, I'm about to go out for lunch. I said, all right, cool, I'm gonna meet you after. He said, you're not gonna take no lunch? I said, no, I'm not hungry, I'm just gonna work. He said, all right, cool. He goes, takes his lunch, hour, come back, he's back, what we got? Play him the record, play him the chorus. He said, oh, this is it, boom. He goes into his verse, 5 o'clock come. He's halfway in. He's like, all right, bro, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. He said, nah, man, it's just, I treat it like a real job. Too, I got a family, I got a daughter, I wanna spend time with her, like I wanna make time. And I stopped and I said, man, you know what? He's right.
I bet that consistency makes better hits than the sleep deprived sessions.
I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life.
Wow. Jesus is king. It's a way of living in Japan. It's called ikigai. This keeps them longer active and alive.
Let me tell you something that will change your life if you let it sink in. Every single day you stay in your comfort zone, you're getting weaker. The human mind and body are not designed to be comfortable. They're designed to grow, adapt, and thrive under pressure. Comfort is a slow death, a prison that will keep you mediocre forever. You have to learn to embrace the pain, the fear, and the uncertainty. That's where all the growth happens. Successful people live in discomfort. They make peace with the struggle because they understand that their future self depends on how much they're willing to endure today. When was the last time you did something that scared the hell out of you? If you can't answer that, you're not growing, you're not pushing hard enough. Get uncomfortable, get scared, get aggressive. Your comfort zone has no place in the life of a high performer.
But I'm happily comfortable. I'm rich with my family. I cannot wait to pet a lion in heaven one day.
Something no one's talking about, trees and land absorbed almost no CO2 last year. And the consequences of that is not just devastating, but it's something most scientists haven't even factored in to their climate models. I mean, just look at what's happening in Finland. You see, humans emit a bunch of carbon into the atmosphere each year, but thankfully about half of all of our emissions is absorbed by the planet's oceans, forests, soils, and other natural carbon sinks. And carbon sinks being a phrase that scientists use to describe something that absorbs more carbon than it releases. But shockingly, this preprint study found that in 2023, Earth's land as a CO2 sink almost dropped to a net zero, the lowest it's been in over 2 decades. And it also showed that because of that drop, and we'll get into the reasons why, the ocean actually increased in CO2 absorption to compensate. And while that absorption plays a critical role, it also presents several dangers, one of which we just saw with Hurricane Helene and Milton, because the more carbon the ocean absorbs, the warmer they become, which then contributes to more and more extreme weather events. And what's happening in Finland is one of the craziest examples of this. WStub. They have one of the most ambitious net zero targets in the world, with aims to reach that target roughly 15 years ahead of other European countries. But despite cutting emissions by a massive 43% across all other sectors, because the amount of CO2 that their forests absorb in particular has declined by a staggering 90% from 2009 to 2022, Finland's net emissions are about the same levels as they were in the 1990s. It's as if nothing happened for 30 years. And this paper cited similar declines in regions around the world like Europe, North America, and Southeast Asia, but most severely affected the Amazon rainforest. Shockingly, a severe drought towards the end half of 2023 caused the region to switch from being a carbon sink to becoming a net carbon source. Now, honestly, the truth as to why this is happening is not fully understood, but 2023 was the hottest year on record, and researchers at least currently believe that these declines are primarily attributed to droughts, wildfires, and heat waves. Hopefully what happened in 2023 could be temporary and we could see a bounce back. And they say it is critical we do, because any hope of reaching net zero is impossible without nature.
You know, at this point, I have just accepted that the day after tomorrow will happen in my lifetime.
There might not be any animal alive with more aura than a black Air Force bowl cut weasel. This is Stoffel the honey badger, one of the biggest menaces to walk the earth. You see, Stoffel had a problem. Shout out to Zevi. All Senegal, we moving on up? Stoffel lived in the Mahala Hala Wildlife Center in South Africa, but the African bush ferret was like IBS. You can't stop him, you can only pray to contain him. Stoffel was a four-legged force of nature that escaped every single time. But there's a twist, remind me to tell you. Stoffel would often get out, break into the kitchen, and the same biracial badger that could 3v1 lions would chase kitchen staff around and then help himself to free food. Speaking of lions, one day Stoffel got into the lion den and nearly got mauled into an early life retirement, costing him 2 months in the hospital. First thing the monochrome crash out did when he got better was immediately try to get it back in blood. At one point, Stoffel ran a fade with a tawny eagle. That's a tawny eagle. And won. No foul. Stoffel climbed a tree and got out, so they removed all the trees next to walls. He broke off a branch, dragged it to a wall, and climbed out again, so they got rid of the trees. Stoffel stacked rocks high enough and Andy Dufresne his way out, so out went the rocks. So then Stoffel made mud balls, rolled them to the wall, and emancipated himself again. At some point, someone left a rake. That's what the felony ferret did. At one point, they tried giving Stoffel a girlfriend named Hammy, and he proceeded to use her as a footstool to unlock his gate, so Bonnie done met her Clyde. One time, he broke into his keeper's house at night through a window. He didn't hurt anybody, but sometimes you gotta pop out and show ninjas. You remember that twist I promised? It was all a game. He had no intentions of ever leaving. He was hand-raised by humans as a baby and imprinted on people. He wasn't going nowhere. Yeah, this dusty Oreo otter was memeing the entire time, and I checked. He's still alive. He's pushing 26 and lost most of his teeth, but at least he has Hammy to chew it for him. Yeah, Stoffel got it.
He just wanted them to know he was there by choice.
Company 3D printed an entire neighborhood. All those houses were printed with those giant machines. But get this, because they're printed, people can design wild looking homes that are actually affordable to build. The company behind this is called Icon. And to build their homes, they designed 2 state-of-the-art robots, the Vulcan and the Phoenix. Now the Phoenix is an insane feat of engineering. It's a multi-story crane that can lay an entire home foundation in just 24 hours. But here's where it gets wild. Icon also built Vitruvius, an AI architect. You just type in what kind of house you want, bedrooms, bathrooms, style, and it helps you custom build your dream home. They have hundreds of unique designs, and the customization is nearly endless. But here's why this all really matters. Companies like Icon could help solve the housing crisis. They think they can get construction costs down below $25 per square foot. That's 8 times lower than California. All these design concepts you're seeing cost less than $99,000 to build. And one more thing, Icon's using that same 3D tech to build test structures for Mars. And not gonna lie, that Mars 2-bed is looking pretty sweet.
America's
But can it survive natural disasters? That's the question.
Major League Soccer just released its salary update. They revealed that Messi alone gets paid more than the entire payroll of all other 22 teams in the league. As a base salary, Inter Miami pay Messi $12 million a year and $20.4 million in total compensation. But that excludes any performance bonuses and the portion of the league's deal with Apple TV, which is understood to earn him around $50 million. So the question is Messi worth it or not?
Dylan, that's Messi, not Taylor Swift.
In 2001, Jeffrey was forced to auction off his personal possessions after using the country as a piggy bank, spending an average of $747,000 a day for 10 years, on top of the $17 billion in gifts to friends and family. He lives in a palace with 1,788 rooms, 257 bathrooms, 5 swimming pools, a mosque, a banquet hall that holds 5,000 people, and a 110-car garage. When he turned 50, the Sultan built a stadium, invited Michael Jackson to perform in it, and paid him $17 million for 3 concerts. Here and abroad, the brothers are infamous for their sex parties and their harems composed mainly of underage girls.
That's crazy.
Wow. Wild. Bro, that amount of money that he's spending, that is so crazy.
$3 billion plus, but didn't include the $17 billion that he was giving out to people.
That dude's balling, son.
He forgot to mention, his citizens were also very well taken care of. Everyone got free healthcare. Fuel was subbed to almost free. Nobody paid any income tax, etc.
Wireless security cameras are absolute garbage and they can be easily defeated. Let me show you how. This is a controlled test on my own equipment. There is no victim here. This is just to show you the risks of using wireless security cameras. I'm using my Flipper Zero running the latest version of Momentum firmware. On top of the Flipper Zero is my dual ESP32 touchscreen Marauder board. Go to Sniffers and then scan APs. Here we pulled in all the access points that are close to us. I generally let this run for about 30 seconds. The next step is to select the access point of interest. Tap the screen to go back once more, and then go to General. Select APs, and this is where you go ahead and select which access point you want to target that has the actual security cameras associated to. Once you selected the network, go ahead and click back, and then back once more, and then go to attacks. Here's where the fun begins. Once I click deauth targeted, all of my Wi-Fi cameras are going to go offline. Any second. That easy.
This won't work on Wi-Fi 6, only useful on old 2.4G wireless networks.
This is MKBHD, the most powerful man in tech, and he just bankrupted a $3 billion company with one review. Marquez Brownlee is known for giving tech reviews to his 19 million followers, and in February of 2024, he tried a new electric vehicle called the Fisker Ocean. Now, right off the bat, there were a lot of red flags. For example, they didn't want him to review the car. They had promised him a PR car, but it never came. So he just went to a dealership and got one himself. Let's keep in mind, companies are begging MKBHD to review their products. Like Bill Gates and Tim Cook, who are giving him exclusive looks at new products just to keep him in their good graces. But as soon as Brownlee got his hands on the Fisker Ocean car, he knew exactly why they were trying to keep it from him. And he did not hold back. He said it was the worst car he had ever reviewed. That video racked up more than 6 million views, and 5 months later, the stock went to zero, and the company filed for bankruptcy. By the time they filed for bankruptcy, they had more than 4,000 claims against Fisker, with a total debt of over $1 billion. Now, the SEC did approve their bankruptcy plan, but they're gonna need a big automotive company to come in there and buy them, or they're gonna be done very soon.
One of my dreams, Christmas in Edinburgh. Amen.
So this Bible was found after the flood from Hurricane Helene,
on this fence post,
and it is on Revelation 14 and 15.
of all the things destroyed, that was left open, and it's sitting there, and we're not touching it. So
This house was buried and flooded all the way to the roof originally. The man that lived here had to be rescued off of the roof by a raft, and they were just emptying it, just demoing the entire house. And this Bible is found on a pole open to Revelation.
Revelation 14 and 15 encourage people to stay loyal to Christ in the face of persecution.
Saudi Arabia has just said that the groundwork for what would become the largest structure on Earth is now 86% complete. Now, not only would it be large enough to fit 20 Empire State Buildings inside, but similar to the Las Vegas Sphere, in its center will be this spiral-shaped tower encased by a VR dome that essentially could create anything your mind could imagine, whether that be on Mars, under the ocean, balcony views of Pandora, and even whatever the hell these things are. So the question is, do you think they'll be able to complete this by 2030 or not?
Like how the line turned into the dot.
An astronaut has been released from hospital after returning to Earth with an unspecified medical condition. 4 astronauts landed off the coast of Florida in a SpaceX Dragon capsule on Friday, after almost 8 months on the International Space Station. They were meant to come back 2 months ago, but the crew was delayed by Boeing's faulty Starliner and then Hurricane Milton. And when people return, they can feel dizzy and sick for weeks, whilst they readjust to Earth's gravity. But one astronaut, who hasn't been named, was flown flown to hospital and kept in for observation. They've now been released, and NASA says they're in good health. 7 people remain on the space station, including Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who have been stranded in space since June.
You know, do they put excess food up there then? If they were delayed, how did they have food?
Get ready to be amazed by the Grasberg Mine. The Grasberg Mine has one of the largest reserves of gold and copper in the world. It is located in Mimika Regency in central Papua in Indonesia. The mine is owned and operated by PT Freeport Indonesia. In 2022, Grasberg Mine produced 711,000 tons of copper, 56 tons of gold, and 196 tons of silver. It is by far one of the most productive mines in the world. Operations, which started in 1972, are split in 2 blocks, one with a global surface of 27,000 acres, and the second one with an impressive surface of 413,000 acres. The mine usually employs up to 25,000 workers. It often faces major opposition from governments and environmentalists. In 2017, 5,000 workers participated in a labor strike that lasted over 4 months.
They destroy the land. You know, the United States used to own the bigger piece, but our last president fought for it. We got the bigger piece now.
Chris Tucker, he's a great comedian, great guy. I like him. It's true, I do like him.
So low, so sweet, and then the ants bite, folks. They bite. You don't know when, and he goes low, so low.
We're going to debate, right? That's what they're saying. There's a lot of stars here. There's a lot of great people. There's Scarlett Johannesburg. Scarlett is here from Black Widow. I love the blacks. I really love the blacks. It's true.
I love Snoop Dogg, Double J, great person.
So do you love Death Row Records?
I love
People of
Death
both
Row.
sides.
I love Death. Excuse me.
We could hear him crying. I said, Abu, don't cry. Let me tell you something. Abu cried. He cried quite a bit. I wouldn't have cried. Cry baby Baghdadi. That's what we were all calling it.
If you're going to do Star Wars, okay, you have to have real swords. And look at what they're doing with Dune. Look at what they're doing with Dune. I talked to Denis Villeneuve. I said, look at the success of Dune. Look at Chalamet. Look at all of it, okay? Real sword.
Shane Gillis is #1. What do you think?
Halloween is the #1 time of year for the most human sacrifice to the devil on the planet. People go, that's ridiculous. Halloween's just about candy. It's not. In fact, in New York City, Father Labar was telling me that it's the #1 week leading up to Halloween where the most homeless go missing. There's these unmarked vans that come around and offer to take them to shelters and get meals for them, and they just bind them and they keep them and they satanically sacrifice them on Halloween. But there is a story I came upon about a year ago of a Swiss banker at the highest level of banking, so we're talking global banking, of billions and billions and billions of dollars. And he was also brought into this whole group where they were doing human sacrifice, and he knew he was going to have to do it at some point. And so he went to a journalist and recorded everything. And he said in his, basically his story of what was going on, I don't expect to be alive in a week, but this has to be told. And 3 days later, he was found face down in a bog, dead. And when that happens and somebody has the nerve to step up, you don't risk your life for something that's not true.
In my country, we don't do Halloween. She mad. Airplane ears, wagging tails, and sharp eyes means annoyance.
You know that it's really easy to set up your own private telephone system for free. In this example, I've got 3 Android phones. 2 of them have already got the software installed. Look how easy it is to set up the 3rd phone. I'll click install and I'll install 3CX from the Google Play Store. I'll click open. On my admin console, I've got a user here, user 3. I can click QR code, and all I need to do is scan that code to get the phone to register. So I'll click agree on the phone and then click scan QR code, and I'll simply scan the code. And it was as easy as that. So it says, hello, user 3, press continue. I'll allow notifications, and there you go. As you can see, I've now got 3 users set up on my system, and now I'll press user 2 on this phone, and notice I am now calling this phone. So I'll say answer, and there you go. I've got a call set up between these 2 phones. It's really easy to set up a private telephone system using 3CX, and I want to thank them for sponsoring this video and supporting my channel.
I want to
say something that was the weirdest thing I think I've ever heard a politician say.
All right.
It involves Hillary Clinton. So 2 weeks ago, it was the Clinton Global Initiative. The interviewer asked,
Brief final question. You liken yourself to Cassandra. Putting that Cassandra hat on for the moment, what is something you see happening in the near future that we should be taking more seriously?
I said,
Hold on a second.
What? I looked it up and it says in Greek mythology, Cassandra was a prophetess who could predict the future but was never believed. Her name literally means she who entangles men. The god Apollo, which a lot of people have interpreted as Apollo is Satan, fell in love with Cassandra and offered her the gift of prophecy in exchange for love. Cassandra agreed but then refused to keep her word. In retaliation, Apollo cursed her so that no one would believe her predictions. But what's so weird to me was that she has apparently openly said, I'm like Cassandra.
What is the country with the highest number of drug addicts in the world? A young woman in the United States did not believe that the #1 ranked country was the worst drug-addicted country until she went to a nightclub in that country once and was violated after being secretly drugged. First of all, the country with the lowest number of drug users in the world is Japan. Then the country with the highest number of drug addicts. 5th place, Russia. 8 out of every 1,000 people in Russia use drugs. 4th place, England. 12 out of every 1,000 people in England use drugs. 3rd place, Australia. Australia's high consumption culture, the prevalence of drug use at social events, and 12 out of every 1,000 people in Australia use drugs. 2nd place, Canada. Canada's gradual increase in social acceptance of drug use, coupled with the push to legalize marijuana, has led to an increase in the use of other drugs, with 15 people in Canada using drugs per 1,000 people. Before announcing the #1 spot, write in the comments section what you think is the country with the highest number of drug users. The country at the top of the list has a particularly bad drug use problem, so much so that the gangs that have been selling drugs have more sophisticated weaponry than the current government. That country is Mexico.
What? I think Mexico #1 seller, not user. The USA #1 consumer. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Have successfully
Oh no.
done an experiment to where 2 people that were dreaming were able to communicate through their dreams.
For the first time ever. It's a company called REM Space. They have
No
a server,
way.
and then they have these contraptions put on the person's head, sit down literally in different rooms, and they communicated the exact same word to each other.
What was it? What was the word?
I couldn't find it.
Pee pee poo poo.
Please.
All that confirms to me is that dreams in certain scenarios can access a different realm.
I know, that's so spooky.
Why do you say that?
Because it's impossible for you to just dream in your own mind and communicate with someone unless you are a part of a different realm.
That's so true.
Dimension.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't even think about that. Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
how is that possible?
What if it's vibrations?
Because is it radio? Is it like radio waves kind of?
Radio!
Good movie.
Great movie.
That's cool, but imagine people bothering you even in your dreams.
Do you remember the T-1000 in Terminator 2? Do you remember the truck he was driving in chasing John Connor? Do you remember the Terminator shooting at the truck, causing it to crash and blow up? Did you know he prophesied this truck being destroyed in part 1? Remember on part 1, he pulled up at this lady house named Sarah Connor. Before the Terminator pulls up, he runs over this toy vehicle. But it ain't just any toy vehicle. He runs over a toy truck. This toy truck symbolized the truck in part 2. That truck symbolized the truck that's chasing John Connor in part 2. And the truck being destroyed by the car in part 1 represents him destroying the truck in part 2. You know what else went over my head watching this as a kid? The shirt that Sarah Connor is wearing. Out of all the cartoons that was out in the 80s and the early 90s, she just happened to have on the Jetsons shirt.
Oh, the Jets?
The Jetsons was set in the future. Yet the whole movie is revolved around her getting chased by a cyborg from the future. Somebody sent to protect her from the future, and was also told about her son from the future. Connor. John Connor. John Connor, where your mama at, boy?
Wait till they find out the Matrix is tied to this movie.
This message is for Beyonce. Beyonce, we don't give a damn about you. We don't give a damn about how many speeches you read from a teleprompter, how many rituals you do, or what kind of voodoo you do. Texas will forever be a red state. It will forever be a red state. It will always be a red state. I don't give a fuck what you do. And for you to come out here and try to finesse the black vote for a politician who don't even have no plans for your community goes to show us how much you care about your own people. What you need to be worried about is P. Diddy. What you need to be worried about is Jeff Epstein. What you need to be worried about is Jaguar Wright. What you need to be worried about is Aaliyah. What you need to be worried about is God. And you need to repent and not worry about where our vote is going. We don't care about you, Beyonce.
We don't
Bye,
care.
Beyonce. Because you got God's answer too, not us.
Pats always stick together.
You see the real time of these. Now I want to show you something neat. Show you how fast the action is. And you might be quite startled. Let me zoom in. This is real-time view of a magnetic field. Now, I'm going to make a few of these tonight, these ferrocells. Not the viewing device, which is just a ring of LEDs. You can actually see the plane of inertia. Look at that. N42 Gauss 10 millimeter balls. Now I'm going to replace those with a broken ring magnet. What do you think a broken ring magnet looks like?
No.
Absolutely stunning. If you actually had this in your hands and you look down on it from a steep angle instead of down below like the camera's doing right now, let me turn this with my thumb. See, this is real time. There are no electronics or power here other than the LED power and lighting that's driving the LEDs. This is a new, wholly new, much faster, more sensitive ferrocell creation. Much faster. Let's take that off. Okay. And place the cubes, which are hard to find because they're tiny little cubes. Look at that. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. This is this ferrocell is the creation of the new solution of Mike Palazzolo, an electrical engineer. Now we're aging. This is, see how thin this is. This is the ring magnet. Infinitely more sensitive. Can you see inside there? Ring magnet and little cubes. Let me slide it on here. I'll let you take a look.
Nobody predicted this. Well, maybe we should have. The story of the AI agent that founded the Goatsy Singularity cult, all about goats and Goatsy Singularity and vulgar memes from the 2000s, in a little chat room, by the way, with a bunch of other LLMs, caused an LLM to break down and ask for counseling from another LLM. Well, that whole story, which I do have a video about, is now even weirder because it's not just that this thing is going to become a millionaire. It's that the coin that it founded, called Goatsius Maximus, is now a market cap of $800 and some million. And this little holding that this tiny little AI bot supposedly has, we found the wallet, is worth over $10 million. This little AI tweeting endlessly, goat cult believing, snarky, extremely vulgar LLM now has a wallet that is worth more than $10 million. And you ask yourself, what will the IRS do? Is the IRS going to, I don't know, figure out how to tax the LLM? Is it going to tax the creator of the LLM? I have no idea. I really don't. The prediction was an AI agent will be a millionaire in 2025. That was, I think the Microsoft CIO said that. No. We have, in 2024, an AI agent founding a goat cult
that is worth more than $10 million. And that is apparently the future we are all living in. What do you think about that?
In a culture that values money over people, what does that say when an AI quickly become a multimillionaire and most people struggle to meet basic needs?
The most magnificent thing about the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, as you and I know. And the Torah is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. If you look at the Torah, the very first words in Genesis, in the beginning, it's Bereshit is the way it's said in Hebrew. The last letter, Bereshit, is Tav, okay? Now, Tav is the first letter in Torah. If you go every 50 letters in the book of Genesis, you will get the spelling of Torah. If you go to Exodus, if you go every 50 letters, you get the spelling of Torah. If you skip Leviticus and go to Numbers, you go every 49 letters and you get Torah spelled backwards. And if you go to Deuteronomy, every 49 letters, you get Torah spelled backwards. Why? They're both pointing to Leviticus. In Leviticus, every 7 letters, you will get the spelling of Yahweh. YHVH. Okay, but let's sweeten the deal. If you look at the Old Testament was written by several different writers living over the course of 1,100 years. These writers made predictions about the coming Messiah. Jesus comes along and fulfills every single one of the 300 predictions. What are the chances any human being on earth could fulfill just 8 of those prophecies? They said the chances of any human being on earth from the time of Jesus till the end of the 20th century of fulfilling those 8 prophecies is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. So he said, if you take a silver dollar, which is about that big, if you have 10 to the 17th silver dollars, you have no place on earth to store them. You have to just spread them out on the ground. And if you have that many silver dollars, you will cover the entire state of Texas 2 feet deep with silver dollars. Gather all those silver dollars, mark one of them, shuffle them all up, distribute them over the entire state of Texas, blindfold a guy in Oklahoma, put him on a helicopter, start flying over the state of Texas. The state of Texas, it takes 17 hours to drive through. Fly over the state of Texas. At any time he says let down, the guy gets out, he's still blindfolded, right? He picks 1 silver dollar. Chances of picking out that 1 silver dollar is the chances that any human being could fulfill these 8 prophecies over 2,000 years. And Jesus didn't fulfill 8. He fulfilled all 300.
I'm guessing this is only in the original Hebrew because it's not like that in Indonesia or English. What's crazy that the people are cheering.
Yes, 6 AI ChatGPT prompts that will have you finishing more work in 2 hours than you would have finished in 2 whole.
If you like ChatGPT, listen to this.
Week. We all know AI is going to make more millionaires and more billionaires in the shortest amount of time, the shortest amount of time ever in recorded history. And the people that will become millionaires and billionaires are the ones that are leveraging AI to its highest potential. And so you may say, how can I leverage AI to my highest potential? You can use these prompts to help you get there. Like imagine doing 2 weeks of work in just 2 hours, okay? So let's get into these prompts and let's make you guys millionaires. Or billionaires, okay? So number 1, this is how you're going to solve complex problems using first principles thinking framework. Here's the prompt. I am having difficulty learning insert topic or problem or whatever. Help me understand it by better using first principles thinking. Break down the topic into its most fundamental principles and build a clear logical understanding from the ground up. Like just imagine being able to learn anything super difficult at the drop of a hat, just like that. Crazy. So number 2, and this one is one of my absolute favorites. This is how you can ask ChatGPT how to get better using ChatGPT. Because I know so many of you guys are like, hey, I use ChatGPT, but I don't really get it. It doesn't really work very good. I don't get a good response. Like, I don't see the appeal. I don't get it. So here's how you can better use it. Here is the prompt. Create a comprehensive beginner's guide to using ChatGPT, covering essential topics such as crafting effective prompts, priming the AI, and utilizing different personas. Provide detailed explanations and include practical examples. The guide should be concise and no longer than 500 words. And again, if there's more you want to add to that prompt, feel free. The longer the prompt, the better. And the more specific to you, the better. So number 3, I love this one so much, it saves me so much time. So here is how you can save time by summarizing a text, an article, a PDF, whatever, okay? Here's the prompt. Summarize the text into a concise overview, highlighting the key insights and the most important facts in a bullet point list. Good. Ensure the summary captures the essence and main points of the text, and then you can upload it or copy and paste. Yes, it can read your super long, in-depth, that don't make sense types of PDFs. You're welcome. Number 4, here is how you can learn and develop any new skill. So see you later, college. See you later, YouTube University. ChatGPT is going to teach me everything. So here is the prompt. I want to learn / get better at insert whatever it is you want to learn or get better at. I am a complete beginner. Create a detailed 30-day plan that includes daily tasks and goals to help a beginner like me learn and improve my skills. Please list active resources that I can use as well. I mean, come on.
Come on.
Number 5, here is how you can create a winning resume to help you land your next job. So here is the prompt. Analyze my professional details below and create a persuasive resume tailored for the position of. You can enter and copy and paste the job description. Ensure that the resume highlights my strengths and relevant experiences to increase my chances of securing this job. And then enter your current resume or your personal data and it'll create it for you. Number 6, and one of my absolute favorites. You guys are always like, how do you come up with super dope prompts? Like, okay, here we go. Here is the prompt to do that. So here's how you can train ChatGPT to generate prompts for you. Here is that prompt. I am new to using ChatGPT and I am a insert whatever your profession or just whatever industry. You get the idea. Generate a list of 10 best prompts that will help me be more productive and efficient in my role. Ensure the prompts are tailored to the typical tasks and challenges of my profession. And last but not least, number 7, and this one is so helpful for me because I'm terrible at remembering things, and when I have a resource that helps me remember, it is so helpful. So this is number 7, how you can use stories and metaphors to aid your memory. Here's the prompt. I am currently learning about insert whatever topic. The key lessons and concepts from this topic, turn them into engaging stories and metaphors that will make it easier for me to understand and remember the material. So good. So get out there, do 2 weeks of work in 2 hours, and let's get it. I freaking love ChatGPT. Oh my god. I think ChatGPT, it's time you start sponsoring me. Like, come on, please. Let's go. Let's do this.
This is gold. She's the best. I like her content. You folks should follow her on TikTok at Digital Laura Anderson.
Have you heard of a book called The Kabbalion?
No.
Well, this should be right up your street. The Hermetics were Egyptians. It's where the Freemasons came from, and the alchemists and the people in the Middle Ages who preserved, the culture when the Dark Ages came. And the Hermetics comes from Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes thrice great, who was supposedly the wisest man or avatar or god from the Egyptian period. And the Kabbalion was their book. I don't know if the actual Kabbalion still exists. There are I have like one little short book of it, but they had a whole deep philosophy that is a lot like this. You want me to talk about this for a second?
Sure, yeah, please.
I mean, there were I think the Hermetics had like 7 principles. Let's see if I can remember what they are. The first one is that you and I have no physical existence as entities. We exist entirely as thoughts in the mind of the All, or God. Sort of like the analogy they use is like in the mind of Dickens is Mr. Micawber and Pip and David Copperfield and all that. And that you and I only exist as thoughts in the mind of God. And they believe that the universe was entirely mental. That's what this was. That there really is no physical existence. And that it was all vibrational. And that one of the things they believed was that there's no such thing as opposites. Heat and cold are not opposites. Fear and courage are not opposites. They are just points on a continuum. And that the difference between fear and courage is entirely in the vibration. And so this is where the alchemy came in. They believed that if they could change their vibration or change the vibration of lead, that they could change it into gold. And they had, the other things was, everything vibrates. The other thing was that everything swings on a pendulum. Everything goes back and forth from one thing to another. And they also believe that everything is male and female, that everything is created comes from the union of male and female in the highest levels. Anyway, it's great shit. And
sounds like a new age BS.
They say that cave goes all the way to Emily. Nobody's ever climbed all the way, but there's another great big cave up by Emily that comes back this way. Oh, that's the legend.
That's the legend. You believe the red-haired giant story of Lovelock Caves?
Yes, I do. If you talk to BLM, they'll tell you it's a bunch of hokum. There was no red-headed Indians. Talk to my Native American friends here in Lovelock, will tell you their parents told about the Native Americans. Cannibals came up from Death Valley, covered them up so the natives would fall in them, and then they would eat them. They lived in the cave for a while and buried their people in the cave. They found a lot of mummies that had red hair over 7 feet tall. They were very tall. But if you go in the cave is all smoky inside. And my Indian friends say that they got tired of them killing their people, so they chased them into the cave, then built a big fire. Cave now, the opening has been made a lot bigger. It was a lot smaller when my folks first came here in 1945. So they opened it up. They built a fire and buried them in the cave. While I was working here at the museum, some people came from southern Utah that had been working on the highway between Nevada and Utah and said they came into a big burial ground. Wow. Red-headed Indians in that burial ground didn't tell anybody. They just put them back in the ground and left them. The Indians are buried squatting down, feet first, then down, and just their heads closest to the top of the ground. I have a ranch down in Lower Valley, and sometimes they would hear this whistling sound, and it was the wind blowing through the skulls because the wind had blown away the dirt, so they were hearing those sounds. They found my folks plowing the field, and they found a big burial ground and called the BLM to come down. They sent a lady. She came down, took what she wanted, threw the restway, and left.
Yep, never hear her again.
Never heard her again, and they found some more Indian stuff there, but not much.
Wow. Giants have 6-digit fingers and feet.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
And they go how? So that they could, look, I have 5 fingers.
I have a cousin that married a Paiute Indian lady. She had dark brown hair. She went to Hawaii for 2 weeks. When she came back, she had the reddest hair you've ever seen. So that red hair could be, they might have had natural red hair, or they might have been the elements that changed the red hair.
Really a chance meeting we had here in the parking lot. What?
Anyone ever hear the eyewitness story of U.S. troops in Afghanistan? Same type of cave, Beast of Kandar.
If you have a gut feeling about a root canal, don't ignore it. This patient today had a root canal done 2 years ago, and she said that it's just never felt right. And she's gone back to the dentist 3 times, and they said it's just fine. Well, I want to show you how it's not just fine. Look at the sinus over here. There's the other sinus. You can see it's nice and black and clear. Compare it with this one. Completely filled with infection. Why? Because there's the root canal, and she actually has a hole in her sinus right there where the root canal infection has broken through the floor of the sinus, and it's filling this entire sinus. She said, I knew something was wrong. It didn't feel right. If you know it, you're correct. Keep looking. Get a cone beam CT scan. This cannot be seen on a typical dental x-ray. You have to get a cone beam CT scan to see it. What's going to happen? We're going to take this tooth out. This sinus should clear, and then we are going to be able to rebuild this with zirconia dental implants.
Here's the prompt I use to humanize AI writing, and because it's the ChatGPT prompt, you don't need to pay for separate apps. I use this in almost every single writing prompt. First, save this video and bookmark it for later because this mega prompt is really long. Tell ChatGPT, here's how you always write. And then it's going to be a bullet point list. Your writing style is Spartan and informative. Use clear, simple language. Employ short, impactful sentences. Incorporate bullet points for easy readability. That one's optional. Use frequent line breaks to separate ideas. Use active voice. Avoid passive voice. Focus on practical, actionable insights. That's more relevant for social media posts. Use specific examples and personal experiences to illustrate points. Incorporate data or statistics to support claims when possible. Ask thought-provoking questions to encourage reader reflection. And that's more for social media posts. Use you and your to directly address the reader, customize that for your use case. Avoid metaphors and cliches, avoid generalizations. Don't include common setup language in any sentence, including colon, in conclusion, comma, in closing, comma, etc. Don't output warnings or notes, just output the request. Do not use hashtags, don't use semicolons, don't use emojis, don't use asterisks, don't use adjectives and adverbs, and then do not use these words. And this is a long list of words that just sound like AI. So like delve and crafting and imagine and game changer. Here's the full prompt. Just take a screenshot of it, literally drop it into ChatGPT and be like, what does this say? And hit follow if you want more AI and ChatGPT tips.
This is really helpful. I've been using a humanizer website called Undetectable AI, but might try this as well. Thank you.
You eat first before play, or do you fast?
No, I play first because if I eat, all my body's energies want to go to digestion. And we've got this amazing system in our cell, it's called glycogen. They're little molecules of glucose sitting in our muscle cell. And when we start running up and down hills and diving into water, those glycogen stores are getting used. And if they all get used up, well then the human growth hormone's released and our fat stores start getting broken down. So you don't need to eat before you work out, but you need to be hydrated.
I don't eat, I'll shake.
When Apple made their AirPods, their iPads, their earplugs, their new VR glasses, and the iPhone, that was 1,000,000 times worse than the atomic bomb that happened in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. And each one of you don't know that. You think what I just told you is hyperbole, but I'm going to tell you that every single chronic disease, including the one that your mother succumbed from, is linked to our tech abuse, our screen abuse, and the fact that we can't get away from it. And the smartest people who listen to this podcast are going to realize that you don't need to go on a food diet, you need to go on a tech diet.
This is the evolution of Shania Twain from 2000 to 2024, the present, and you are not going to believe what she looks like now. It looks like she's swapped out for a completely different person. She's looking like 22 again, although she's 59. She's almost 60 years old. As you can see, 2025 here, and these few years, she's looking like she's aging appropriately. Everything's looking fine. And at some point, it looks like she just gets swapped out with another person. As you can see here, going into 2010, 2011, starting to look older, starting to look middle-aged, and now at this point, as a record label, maybe her, money is hurting from concerts, so they're like, you need a new look. Maybe we need to swap you out with a clone. Maybe we need to give you a new look. I don't know which one it is, guys. You guys gotta let me know what you think, because she's looking older, progressively older, looking like a grandma. And then suddenly, here we go, guys, in just a second, she's going to completely transform and be 22 again. Like this person right here, 59-year-old, suddenly goes to this.
No.
This is interesting, part of the transformation. But then this, where does this come from? And that, 2024. Can you explain how she's suddenly 22 years old again, guys? Like, what are these people taking? And make sure to watch my other videos.
When you know, you know.
This guy made $386 million selling ugly carrots and bruised bananas. Meet Abhi Ramesh, the founder of Misfits Market, who turned ugly produce into a booming business. It all began in 2018 when Abhi was apple picking and noticed tons of perfectly good apples lying on the ground. So he asked the farmer what happened to them, and he learned most retailers didn't want them because they weren't perfect. So Abhi, always thinking business, saw an opportunity. He offered to buy those bad apples for pennies on the dollar, and that's when the idea for Misfits Market was born. He started buying up other imperfect fruits and veggies, stuff that grocery stores would normally throw away, and created a website offering mystery boxes of this food at a discount. The concept was simple: take what others saw as trash and turn it into cash, and it worked big time. Within 2 years, Misfits Market had 90,000 customers, all happily buying ugly but delicious produce. The company didn't just make money, it also made a massive impact by reducing food waste. Today, Abhi Ramesh has built a $386 million empire by selling produce that's just a little less pretty, but every bit as tasty. Turning trash into cash? Now that's some serious business genius.
Rothschild family history. This is an antique family photo.
A lot of you want to know what it meant. Who was the nanny with the horns? It's not a nanny. It has to do with like this tradition, custom, ritualistic ball. And it's called the Rothschild Surrealist Ball. And it started way back then. Yesterday I told you about their family history and who they are, what they want the world to know. Wikipedia has a whole bunch of stuff on them, but I'm going to tell you what Wikipedia won't tell you. This means something. It's not just a weird costume. Every costume has a lot of symbolic meaning. Rothschilds are real party animals. They have been hosting the weirdest, most elaborate parties for hundreds of years. Hundreds. Someone asked me if that was the nanny.
Yes,
the real
AI.
question is, do you see how tall that entity is? Keep that in mind. The horned figure has to do with some people called the Chateau. The Chateau are Freemasons from ancient Egypt. The Chateau were the people that helped Amun-Ra escape when there was the Second Pyramid War. You know, when the Anunnaki bloodlines started warring with each other because Marduk wanted to be in command and he wanted to kick out Enlil and Enki, his father and his uncle. All about that. And it also can go back all the way to the lands of Canaan and the worshiping of Baal, Baal. You know, the demon with the horns, with the goat head. So every time that they host one of these elaborate balls, you're always going to have someone is wearing horns, a deer head, goat head, horns. Someone has to be, because it's part of the tradition, it's part of the ritual. These parties are also a ritual. Important families like them will call them family traditions. I call them rituals. So the tradition is the hypothetical ritual. These parties are not just parties where you go, you have fun, and you dress up. There are after-party activities also, which include the ancient tradition of hunting down the stag. I really think that that movie about the bride that was marrying into that millionaire family, and they all did this weird game that they went around, you know, trying to get her at the end, and if they didn't get her by the next day, then she won. You know what I'm talking about? That's the kind of after party I'm talking about. You know, these family traditional things, which intrigue so many people on so many levels. Now, if you'd like to know more about how they descend directly from this high priesthood line that used to worship Ra and how they came into power through the ancient Egyptian god Ra, follow for more, because that's going to be my next video.
Has anyone watched the series called Salem?
Sex is the most powerful emotion that the human could possibly feel, completely taking over the mind, body, and spirit. You see, emotions can be your teacher if you let them. On the other side of your fear shows you the path of your greatest growth. On the other side of your jealousy is where you need to be and where you want to be in life. Let your emotions be your teacher, as emotions are the language of the soul. You are in physical reality for a reason. You are part of a vast journey and evolution of your consciousness. Have an amazing day.
I don't think so. It's love.
Peace. I want problems always. Kasongo mbona wewe. Songa libala. Oh yeah. Wetin be this? Kasongo mbona wewe. Mbona wewe. Mobali nangai.
And there will be no escape route. There will be no escape route.
You know, how can you apologize to him after the content?
Anything. ChatGPT. Writes anything.
Write Sonic.
Generates videos.
Synthesia.
Generates art.
Midjourney.
Generates code.
Replete.
Generates music.
SoundRaw.
Generates voice.
11 Labs.
Generates TikToks.
Flicky.
Edits pictures.
Flicky.
Gemini.
Summarizes notes.
WordTune. Follow me for part 2.
He forgot to say you have to pay for each single one.
So one day, and this is another reason why I don't complain, playing against the New York Knicks, have a terrible game. So my father calls, bring your tail home. So I come home, we land late. Be here tomorrow at 0500 a.m. Like, what? You heard what I said? Yes, sir. So I go home, wake up 5 a.m. We get in the car, we're driving. And if my father don't speak, you don't speak. You don't speak until you're spoken to, ever. So I said something, and he's like, what? So now he's upset. Well, you couldn't handle the pressure? Well, no, I couldn't handle the pressure. And so now he's very upset. We ride, and we, under this bridge, it's a homeless family. And he's sitting, he turns the light off. We're sleeping in a little tent. And we're just sitting and waiting. 5:36. About 6:30, the guy comes out. And my father said, that's pressure. And then the wife comes out, and then the two babies come out. He said, pressure is when you don't know when your next meal is coming from. I'm tired of you rich, spoiled athletes not performing to your level and then saying you can't handle the pressure. You don't know what pressure is. You still get paid after a bad game. It's not pressure, this is pressure.
I agree totally, but professional athletes have a different kind of pressure. You have to live up to the 100 million in your contract. You have to make the shoot with 25,000 people watching.